When going car shopping, most people consider features like the brand, the exterior appearance, and the production year. Guess what's more important? The car lifespan. Trust us, you don't want to end up with a car that won't even get to 30,000 kilometers before tapping out. So stay with us in this video to find out the 15 least reliable cars that you should never buy. Getting right into our list, let's start with the one that's not so much of a surprise. Number 1, Nissan Rogue. We'll get straight to the point with it. If you're in the market for a Nissan Rogue, you should either be willing to spend top dollar on one of the more recent models, or you check out some other car. The 2019, 2020, and 21 models are the only models with little or no complaints, so kudos to Nissan for that. As for literally every other model, from 2008 model down to the 2018 version, they're not worth the trouble they bring after the first year of use. The 6 earliest Rogue cars are known for developing total transmission failure no matter how carefully you use them, while those from 2014 till 2018 throw a streak of broken air conditioning units and broken interior accessories into the mix of problems. They all suffer from sudden acceleration loss as well, annoying suspension defects which make so much noise from the front end you'd wish you took the train or just hiked. If you think you can weather all those faults, then you should know that the Nissan Rogue is also known to pose some serious safety issues as its lifespan approaches a 30,000 kilometer mark. By that, we're talking about faulty brakes, inaccurate dashboard fuel readings, serious CVT transmission issues, clogged evap systems, and exploding sunroofs. We agree, all those sound like too many faults for one car, but do a little research and you'll find just how many customers have complained or even filed class action lawsuits against Nissan just because the Rogue went rogue on them. Hey, if you're enjoying this channel focused on the European car market, don't forget to subscribe for more updates, insights, and exciting content coming your way. Next on our list, we have the number 2 Chrysler 200. When the Chrysler 200 hit the market in 2011, it had the potential of being a family sedan that offered the driving experience of a luxury car. But a couple years and models later, and customers found it was an absolute waste of money. You could blame it on the manufacturer's overpromising or just on bad engineering. The fact remains that the Chrysler 200 is anything but reliable. The debut model was a major safety hazard. It was reported to suddenly stall without any warning signs, right in the middle of traffic, whether on the highway or in the suburbs. The engine failed to restart. Despite expensive repairs, these problems persisted for virtually every model. This car also had a ton of electrical issues like total dashboard shutdowns, wipers ceasing to function, as well as faulty heater systems and lights going out after just months of use. Many consumers have also complained that this car, particularly the 2012 model, is fond of overheating, losing power steering and brakes as the engine cuts out unexpectedly. Crazily enough, despite thousands of cars being returned to the manufacturers as a result of these faults, the diagnostic team still couldn't figure out the cause of these problems. It's one thing for a car to be unreliable, but the same car raising safety and hazardous concerns is definitely reason enough to avoid it at all costs. Speaking of cost, let's check out a car that's as unreliable as it can be expensive. Number 3, Cadillac Escalade. If you know your cars, your question would be which Escalade? And that'll be a very valid question considering the Cadillac brand first broke into the SUV market with the first Escalade way back in 1999. The longevity of this car, however, is the exact reason why it makes this list. There have been half a dozen trims, at least 5 generations, and 4 groups of production years. Yet the Escalade hardly gets a rating of 2.5 out of 5 in any reliability survey. They look solid and have built quite a reputation over the decades, but just tens of thousands of kilometers into owning one, and you'll wish you never spent that $80,000. Particularly for the 2007, 2008, 2015, 2016, and 2019 models. There have been numerous complaints of the automatic transmission having a rough shift that makes the vehicle shake while driving, erratic instrument panel and speedometer, and other panel gauges going on and off like the hallway lights in a scary movie. Other common faults in the Escalade include faulty flashing check engine lights, engine misfires, and ridiculously fragile plastic parts. Frankly speaking, the Cadillac Escalade can't be trusted even before hitting the 30,000 kilometers mark, so don't bother trying it out. Moving on, we have the number 4 Chevrolet Cruz. There's not much to be said about how unreliable this car is. All you need to know is this: the Chevy Cruz debuted in 2008 with a lot of noise and publicity. Marketing was spectacular, and the car was globally developed under different names around the world. But fast forward to just over a decade, and the car has been discontinued in North America, China, Korea, and some parts of South America. If that doesn't tell you enough of the story, then how about this? When the earlier models were released, consumers complained about check engine light issues, oil leaks, and coolant leaks. So the manufacturers ran campaigns and made recalls to address these faults. But guess what? When the next model hit the market, those faults seem to have only been replaced with faulty diaphragm and the PVC inside the valve cover, intake manifold faults, and overheating due to bad water pumps. Basically, this car just couldn't be trusted to work without faults for longer than 30,000 kilometers. The same can be said for the fifth entry on our list. Number 5, Dodge Journey. Keeping it a buck with you, this car is one of the lesser evils on this list. Not because it doesn't have a truckload of faults you should steer clear from, but because there are about 5 versions of it that will serve quite well. The 2015 Dodge Journey is an okay SUV with good long-term reliability for a good price. The 2017 version's even better with better interior features, and the same goes for the remaining 3 versions till 2019. However, every other model of the Dodge Journey has been reviewed to have a long list of problems, one of which are the brake problems, which is an inconvenient and dangerous fault for anyone who likes to speed on the highway. This car commonly experiences premature brake and rotor wear, noisy execution, and sometimes the brake calipers lock up without warning. The engine's also prone to give an unpleasant ticking sound, or even worse, shut down while driving and prove difficult to restart. And then there are the interior water leaks that plagued every Dodge Journey from 2009 to the 2018 models, and frustrating software issues with the remote keyless entry system. Coming in at number 6 on our list of the least reliable cars, number 6, Pontiac Fiero. Want to know a crazy fact? Since the car was put out on the market way back in 1984, there have been nothing less than 10,000 different car models that have been launched. Yet the Pontiac Fiero still ranks among the 100 worst cars ever made, and you can quote that anywhere. If you owned a Fiero, worrying if it would work efficiently after hitting the 30,000 kilometer mark is the least of your worries. You'd be more concerned about it not catching fire with you in it, and as cynical as that sounds, it's the unfortunate truth. According to Wikipedia, 1 out of every 508 Fieros sold is likely to go up in flames due to engine fires over the first few years after the debut of these cars. At least 100 units were reported to have burst into flames due to design flaws. If it was possible to totally ignore that factor, there's also the problem of the car having small oil pans that cause overheating, faulty connecting rods and electrical panel too close to the exhaust, faulty timing chains, leaking water pumps, and a cranky transmission. Overall, the Pontiac's more reliable in a showroom than it is on the road, so scratch it off your list and thank us later. Up next, we have another Nissan. This time, it's the number 7 Nissan Versa. With models of this car going for as cheap as $10,000, the Nissan Versa is the definition of too cheap to be true. Hardly do you see a car whose exterior is a source of concern as its lifespan elapses, but the Versa's cheap plastic body parts definitely raise some eyebrows. With barely 30,000 kilometers on it, this car has a reputation for falling apart at the seams both on the exterior and interior. The continuously variable transmission features either non-existent or too obvious. You feel like you're driving something broken. A number of reviews have mentioned the CVT transmission giving a high-pitched buzzing sound through the entire RPM range without any indication of damage. It was built with a 1.6-liter 4-cylinder engine, which could be decent for a slow evening cruise in the suburbs, but put that on the freeway and other road users would be pissed at you. And while that seems fair to domestic road users at first, the engine becomes even less efficient as it approaches 30,000 kilometers. The sheer design of the car isn't that aesthetically pleasing either, so maybe save yourself the trouble and avoid the Nissan Versa, yeah? Halfway through, and we have another underwhelmingly reliable car coming up next. Number 8, the GMC Acadia. One instruction: avoid buying a GMC Acadia at all costs. If you're gifted one and it's not the 2015 or 2016 version, you might as well sell it before even taking it for a spin. Sounds a bit harsh, but the truth isn't often the easiest thing to be said. The major faults with this car are basically stuff we've mentioned earlier in this video for some other ride. It has fuel pump issues that can result in a fire, engine problems that can leave you stranded in traffic, transmission failures that only get worse with each repaid, and faulty air conditioning systems. We should also throw in the malfunctioning drive shafts that could see your car roll down a hill even when parked, and the tweaking cabin features that often result in callbacks on the airbags and seatbelts. Like we said, nothing you've not heard of before in a cheap SUV. But here's the real problem. Due to the rarity of spare parts and some unorthodox engineering designs, repairing a faulty GMC Acadia could wreck you financially. The annual repair cost of an Acadia is about $750, which is nearly $200 more than the average annual repair cost of a midsize SUV. A car that develops faults more often than the average car and still costs more to repair, well, we strongly advise against that. Moving on quickly, for the next entry on our list, we have the number 9 Fiat 500. The question most customers who have been unfortunate enough to own one of these is, how can something so small cause such heavy headaches? And that's a legit question. We mean the Fiat 500 has a chic and portable look to it. The stylish design makes fans of small automobiles opt for it without thinking twice. Take a look under the hood, and that's where the problems start. For the electric models, the battery and alternator always seem to need retouching. The transmission gives erratic shifting and clicking noises that get louder as the mileage heads towards 30,000 kilometers. In the mechanical models, the clutch pedal vibrations and the diaphragm spring make switching gears incredibly difficult. The engine's also been reported to develop oil leaks over months of usage, particularly for units with the twin-air engine design. As for the suspension, that's a recurring problem that ranges from worn bushings to noisy struts or just overall suspension tear that can make handling a frustrating task. Even the interior of the Fiat 500 has become a source of concern for owners in recent years due to premature wear of trim pieces despite careful use. Coming in at number 10 on our list is the number 10 Dodge Ram. Another Dodge, but this one has a bit of good to it in that the 2014, 15, and 18 models have all served well for multiple users and garnered a decent reputation amongst lovers of bulky pickup trucks. However, what puts the Ram on this damning list are the issues that become all too common with other models. Take the 2011 Ram 1500 for example. A third-generation model with electrical issues, premature engine failure way before the 30,000 kilometers mark, failed multi-displacement system in V8 models, water pump failures, and poor air conditioning systems. Bad as that sounds, the 2003 model is historically worse. The automatic transmission failed without being exerted. Repairs or outright replacements proved to be way too expensive. The 5.7-liter Hemi V8 engine frequently had exhaust manifold bolts breaking, which in turn caused exhaust leaks and potential engine damage. Top it off with rust and corrosion on both interior and exterior body panels, and it's no surprise the manufacturers got slammed with a $105 million fine due to mishandling recalls in 2015. Gradually approaching the end of our video, let's see what it's like when this car hits the 30,000 mark. Number 11, Volkswagen Jetta. Believe it or not, the inclusion of a Volkswagen on our list has nothing to do with the brand's dirty diesel scandal. In fact, the Jetta first debuted back in 2000 before any of that came up. That doesn't make it any more reliable. This entry-level luxury sedan develops terrible oil conservation as it ages despite being built with the 1.4 TSI engine known for being fuel efficient. As the mileage increases, this issue is compounded with faulty transmission of the Jetta, which has been said to get so bad it requires constant repairs and eventually an overall transmission rebuild. Many have also reported malfunctioning electrical systems, DSG gearboxes failing very prematurely without an obvious cause, engine misfires, rough idling, and oil leaks. Although uncommon, the Jetta's also been known to hesitate under acceleration due to faulty ignition coils and wires. And the weirdest of all the faults that makes this car unreliable? Unusual and untraceable odor coming directly from the HVAC vents. We're not done just yet, though, not without mentioning the number 12 Jeep Wrangler. You could have a bit of sympathy for this car because the faults it develops over time can be blamed more on the marketing team than the engineers. When you get to a car dealership or watch TV adverts, the Wrangler's shown to be this beast of a vehicle that can weather the storm and drive through the woods without having a single scratch. As a result, most people who buy one of these treat it with that idea in mind. And don't get us wrong, the Jeep Wrangler is as good for off-roading as anything Jeep has put out. However, the few times when you bring it back on the freeway or just need to run a couple of errands in this car, that's where you notice all the problems. The manufacturers severely overpromise with the durability, causing serious wear and tear to the car in every compartment from what's beneath the hood to the exterior construct. As a result, it's rare to see a Jeep Wrangler that doesn't develop faults around the 30,000 kilometers mark, and even rarer to see one that makes it past 70 or 80,000. At number 13, we have a surprise for you. Number 13, Nissan Ultima. Old heads remember when this midsize sedan just hit the market in 1992. It was the best car you could get if you were looking for something not too flashy, which could get the job done for domestic runs. Fast forward a decade later, and somehow Nissan seemed to lose the recipe that made the Ultima so special. Nearly every model from the 2002 Ultima till date has proved to be extremely unreliable. The 2002 model's biggest flaw was how ridiculous oil consumption got as its mileage surpassed 20,000 kilometers. The 2005 version had more engine problems, paint issues, and faulty transmission, while the 2009 version suffered from the extremely dangerous steering wheel lock, which could cause fatal accidents and unusually loud acceleration. The 2013 and 2016 versions seem to sum up all the faults of its predecessors and add a rapidly damaging climate system to the mix. Unlike some cars on this list, Nissan parts aren't the rarest to find, but they're ridiculously expensive and could see your car bill skyrocket over $2,500 every couple months. In regard to the Nissan Ultima, here's what a brutally honest review company has to say. Nissan has already demonstrated that they know how to produce a quality vehicle, and in these new age models, they're choosing not to. Harsh, but we agree. Just before we round up this list, let's take a brief look at number 14, Chevrolet Colorado. Yet another car with varying problems for varying models. The 2015 model of the Chevy Colorado is known for dangerous engine misfires and loss of power steering right in the middle of a drive. The earlier models, like those between 2004 and 2009, have an even longer list of problems, from contaminated power steering fluids to damaged belts and power steering pumps to shifting delays, slipping, engine misfires, and stalling. Generally, the Colorado models have one of the worst steering performances you'll find in any car, and it gets worse as the months go by. Some customers have also reported inaccurate fuel gauge readings, and although that seems like a minor issue, you don't want to be stuck on the freeway in the middle of nowhere with an empty gas tank. And lastly, to wrap up our list of the 15 least reliable cars that die before 30,000 kilometers, number 15, Land Rover Discovery. In February 2025, a survey was done for the most unreliable 7-seater SUVs, and the Discovery ranked 9th out of 12, while the Land Rover brand was 27th out of 31. We could probably make an entire video just about the faults and problems this car develops as it approaches the 30,000 kilometer mark, which is why it's coming in last place. First, there are the air suspension problems like the compressor failure, air strut leaks, and the sensors getting faulty, which causes incorrect readings. Next are the electrical problems like electrical components draining power even when the vehicle's been turned off, infotainment system glitches, keyless entry tweaks, and window or door locks just being unresponsive. As for the Ingenium engine, most Discovery models seem to always experience oil leaks only months into usage and overheating due to faulty thermostat or radiators. And then there are the generic problems for every unreliable car with poor mileage, like brakes wearing out, steering noises, and malfunctioning torque converters. That's all for this list of the 15 least reliable cars that die before 30,000 kilometers. Which other cars do you think should make our list? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying this channel focused on the European car market, don't forget to subscribe for more updates, insights, and exciting content coming your way.